Good morning and welcome to our pre-recorded talk for Sunday the 11th of October. And my goodness me, where has October gone? Now, this Sunday's talk is going out to two churches, both Gresley Church and St Peter's in Hartshorn, where we have many friends. And it's again a privilege to be talking to a number of different people. Gresley Church has been looking at the Psalms across September and October, digging deeper into them. And so today is a look at Psalm 46, one of my absolute favourites. Why are we looking at the Psalms? The Psalms are worship songs, and it's not just that many of our modern worship songs come from them. They were worship songs. They were sung by people at festivals, whether it was a festival at home or a festival when, as we know, like Jesus and his family, when he's 12, all go to Jerusalem for a big festival in a big crowd. They would have learnt these psalms off by heart. They were repetitive songs. They were words that you could celebrate with and words that you could mourn with, because we know that often David cries out from the pit of despair as he's hiding in a cave as a young man because Saul and his men are trying to find him and kill him, or as an older man because his own son Absalom is looking for him to kill him. He has an interesting life, shall we say. David, I don't think, is ever bored. What we get from the Psalms is a faith that is genuine and authentic. He doesn't hide his emotions from God. He doesn't pretend. They're all out there for the Lord to see and hear. And David even threatens, barters, blackmails God sometimes. If you don't pull me out of this pit, who will be left to worship you? Says David. There's so much in the Psalms, so much. So, Psalm 46, I hope you've read it through a couple of times. If you've not, then press pause and read it through a couple of times. And I always urge people to read scripture through more than once. Once, you don't really get a feel of it. You're just reading the words. Second, you're starting to get a feel of the word. Third time, you might actually be starting to still your mind and creating space for the scripture, for the Spirit to speak and draw your attention to something that you may not have seen before, or maybe just for this time, just for this moment, just for you, or for you to share with someone else. But read it through, please. So what do I love about Psalm 46? Well, when I've been through some very difficult, challenging times, this has been one of the few Psalms that I have read throughout those days, over and over and over again, and prayed them, as I think David did, and why David wrote them, as a promise. The earth is giving way. This is the context. The mountains are falling into the heart of the sea. The waters are roaring and foaming, and the mountains are quaking with their surging. There's some real issues. Verse 6, nations are in uproar, kingdoms fall, the earth melts. The desolation he has brought on the earth. Now, our nations are in uproar, and kingdoms, and this was before COVID, because of huge things happening in the Middle East and in Africa, kingdoms are literally falling. Whole nations are fleeing, and we have seen millions flee from the Middle East and come to Europe because kingdoms are falling and have fallen. And for them, earth has given way and mountains have fallen into the heart of the sea. For us during COVID, people's whole careers, whole industries aren't just being decimated, and we use that word decimated, but we forget what it means. To be decimated was a punishment that was given to a Roman legion, 4,800 men, if they'd lost their standard in battle, if they dishonoured themselves as a legion, and 1 in 10 men would be killed randomly. If it's just 1 in 10 who lose their jobs, if it's just 1 in 10 who are affected by COVID, if it's just 1 in 10 industries that struggle, then we might count ourselves fortunate. The difficulty is we just don't know how many mountains will fall into the heart of the sea and how much earth will give way, because we've never experienced anything like this. It's very challenging to hear this kind of stuff, but if you read Victorian history, the Victorians considered they were not only civilized, but they had tamed nature. They had tamed the world, and they had science, and they were civilized. They had tamed man's inhumanity and evil. They had made it. Therefore, it came as a massive shock to people's psychology, spiritual lives, emotional well-being when the Great War, the First World War, came into being. It just hit them so hard because they believed that as a civilization they had made it, that nothing of that nature could possibly ever happen again. There was no sense in anyone's imagination that kind of horror could happen. And then, of course, after the First World War and the growth of extraordinary science and the war industry and the way in which nations then came together or appeared to come together, that could never happen again. Second World War, genocide of millions. You see, each generation, when life is going well, falls into a trap, and it's part of human sin. That we're civilized, that we've made it, that we're better than than those who came before us. We now know more, therefore we can behave better. And also this human sin and fallacy and falseness that we can somehow control the created order. We're somehow aloof from it. We can stand back from the world and nature and the Lord's created world and not be affected by it. In fact, we can control it, when in fact there is really no control in this life. There is very little we have a handle on, and there is even less that we understand. And sometimes, without warning, societies crumble, kingdoms fall, mountains quake and fall into the heart of the sea, and the earth gives way. And there's nothing that we can do about it. There's nothing we can do about this pandemic. Scientists across the world are working together, and it's almost ironic that the reason this pandemic has spread so quickly and across the world is because we're so interconnected. The reason we may find vaccines quicker than we've ever found vaccines before is because we are so interconnected. The interconnected, it brings both weaknesses and threats and strengths and opportunities, as every choice we make does. David finds himself in similar conditions as we do. Anxiety, fears, loss, bereavement, grief, wondering what's going to come next, wondering how he can stay in some kind of control when he knows actually there isn't really much control. He knows that, as do we if we're honest. So what he does is he stands on a promise, which is why he often starts with this kind of stuff. God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. Now, if we just spent the rest of our lives on those two lines, that one verse, that would be a considerable journey of discipleship. God is our refuge and strength. There's nothing else offered there. Nothing else is included in that in terms of refuge and strength. Not our clever insurance policies, not our plans, which the Lord knows are all futile. Read your Psalms. The Lord knows all human plans. He knows they are all futile. Not our understanding, not our qualifications, not our ability to look back in history and learn from it, because we don't, not our science, not our understanding of our faith, not our understanding of scripture, not how many years we've been at church, not the church we belong to, not how we do church or where we do church, not on each other, although we are asked to lean upon each other. But our refuge and our strength comes from one place alone. Or, put it differently, there is only one place where we can find strength, and there is only one place we can find refuge, and that's in the Lord. That's it. There is nothing else offered. There is no other place or person or state of mind or civilization or age of humanity that is offered. There is only one place for refuge and strength: God. And he is an ever-present help in trouble, which means he is present now. He is with us through this all. And people are quite justifiably asking, Lord, as David did, where are you? Where are you in this? Show me. What are you doing through this? What are you doing to us as individuals, as families? What are you doing to our country, to our businesses, to our society? What are you doing to our church? What are you doing through this? And I don't mean to suggest that God created a global pandemic in order to do some stuff. Humanity created this in its sinfulness. But God is with us as an ever-present help in our trouble. So there really is only one question to ask, isn't there? Am I looking out for where God is in all this? Am I asking each and every day? Am I looking with my eyes? Am I listening with my ears? Am I opening my mind in order to God spot, kingdom spot, spirit spot, whatever phrase you want to use, to notice where God is in all this, and then thank him and worship him and join in with where he is and seek for more of that and tell others and draw others into the story and say, come on, God is at work here. Let's join in with what God is doing. And there's really only one way to do that. And it could be, again, the answer to, what shall I spend the rest of my life doing? It's in verse 10. You'll know it well. He says, be still and know that I am God. Isn't that the problem that we've all been talking about during lockdown? Oh my goodness me, we do not know how to be still. Oh my goodness me, let's hope when we come out of COVID that we'll have made better choices about being less busy, at church. Oh my goodness me. Come on Sunday, not to worship, but to work. Yeah? Don't come in a frame of mind where you can be still and worship and hear some teaching. But no, let's have lots of people on a rota. Let's keep on working. And let's have meetings before church, after church. Let's catch up with people then over the mechanisms of the institution, rather than just having fellowship and friendship. Oh my goodness me. What have we done to this thing called church, the gathering? What would Jesus say if he saw what we have done to this thing we call church? Would he be pleased? I don't know. I really don't think so. I know where he'd want us to be serving: out in the community, out with people who feel unloved and excluded and don't know the Lord and need to know his love and forgiveness and plans for them. But first of all, we need to be still and know God and know what God is doing. If you're not still, if you're not willing to be still, then how on earth can we really spot what God is saying or doing to us? How on earth can we really get a sense of where he is in all this and where he may be leading, just the next step. I have deliberately avoided a number of lovely, well-meaning seminars and webinars from the National Church and various organisations and Christians, all wanting to get together and let's talk about the future of the church and how we should shape it. Because obviously, if we get together and talk lots, we can work out what the church should look like. Because we're through COVID. It's not like we're only partway through it. It's not like it's going to go on for several months to come, or even the whole of next year. And we're so wise. We're so good at strategy, because look at the state of the church. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. Stop planning, stop scheming. I know all the plans of humanity. They are all futile. Be still and know that I am God. Be still around the fear, the earth-giving way, the mountains falling into the heart of the sea, the waters roaring and foaming, the mountains quaking, businesses crumbling, people grieving, opportunities lost. Ignore the phone, I am. Be still. Ignore that phone. Ignore that message. Ignore those 50 emails. Ignore that rota. Ignore that overwhelming need to do something, that overwhelming need to plan and try and shape something, and live with the chaos. Live with the mess. Live with the uncertainty, and start to be still. And wait. In old morning and evening prayer, which I use now, surprise to me more than anyone else. Have courage and wait for the Lord. I always used to find that extraordinary. Why do I need to have courage and wait for the Lord? Why would I need to have courage to be still or to be silent? Because we need to shape things. We have to control them. We have to feel in control. We have to feel like we can have a handle on things. I know all the plans of humanity. They are all futile. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. Bishop Jack, my spiritual director, and I were having the same conversation about the number of webinars and national conferences on at the moment that we were just avoiding like the plague. And he said, what we need is a conference where people are called together to be silent. Just to be silent and to pray together in silence, and then to go away again and be silent. And if the Lord speaks to them, then to share that with the whole church. And for a while, like many Christians, I kind of went, well, who's going to do that? Come on, somebody do it, until I kind of realised, oh, yeah. Point to the person right now who can reshape the church and tell their neighbours the good news of Jesus Christ. Point to them. Point to the person. I mean, I hope you're pointing to yourself. I'm pointing at myself, not because I'm a vicar, but because I'm a living, breathing Christian. So at the beginning of December, I'm going to invite anyone who wants to join me. I'm going to invite across churches together. I'm going to invite through Facebook people to join me on Zoom on a particular day at the beginning of Advent, in the morning, in the afternoon or the evening, for some time on Zoom where we will be silent. We will be together. There'll be some music. There'll be the odd psalm, probably 46 over and over again. But mainly silence. No planning, no scheming, no great words, no teaching, no wisdom, because all our plans are futile, the Lord knows. Just an opportunity for us to come together and be silent and be still and know that God is the only refuge and only strength available, and he is our ever-present help in trouble. And we will know that if we learn to be still and know that he is God. This was a slightly longer talk than I thought it would be, but I kind of got into it partway through. I hope it's been helpful to you. This thinking and outpouring has been helpful to me. Bless you. Stay safe. God bless.